Joining us today, courtesy of Vivid Seats, LA Kings defenseman Mikey Anderson. How are you doing today, Mikey?
Fantastic. You?
I'm great, thanks. And featuring Zach Dooley. How are you doing today, Zach?
Zachary Dooley now.
Yes, all right, with an H, right? First things first, Mikey. I was just scrolling through Twitter last night, and David Jiricek gets traded to Minnesota, and his teammate Jacob Lauko made a point of greeting him at the airport. And there's this clip, and he says, it's just really nice having somebody from home to talk Czech with. Mm-hmm. Now that you're the only Minnesotan on the team, do you feel like that longing of having another Minnesotan to say "ope"?
Yeah, missing out. Need a little hope, but now I'm the only target when I say words. I think they're correct, but a little more emphasis on maybe the O or something. But
we have a bunch in the front office. You can come up and talk to Jack or Molly whenever you want.
Yep, we'll make our rounds.
Your brother Joey, if he ever decided to go by Joseph, would you have to then go by Michael?
No, absolutely not.
No.
I think I would keep it Mikey just to prove a point to kind of stick it to him again. I don't think he'd care, but I don't think we have to worry about that. I don't think either of us are going to change.
I remember I was reading up for this interview, and it was even when you were drafted, it was just goes by Mikey, not Mike, not Michael, and you are steadfast.
And I always laugh though, because once I get to know people more, no one will call me Mikey. Everyone's Mike, Michael. I'll have 10 different nicknames, so I barely ever hear Mikey as it is. So that's why I always laugh. It's I know, what do you want to be called? Whatever you want to call me. I don't really care.
Hockey nicknames are generally pretty simple, right? Brown becomes Brownie. But then there are some guys like Kopitar just becomes Kopi. Mm-hmm. And some guys have a name like Mikey. So what's your nickname in the locker room?
Usually just Mikey.
Okay.
Like I said, I've been in a couple teams where I've gotten Andy from Anderson. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, it's just always been Mikey, which is fun, kind of, I guess. Keep it that way.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the Joey thing real quick. He's a forward, you're a defenseman. Do you guys compare stats? Do you know who's on the leaderboard for games played, goals, points, all that?
Not so much anymore. When I first started playing the NHL, he always let me know that he had more games played. Mm-hmm. So whenever we would go, we're going to pick up lunch or go somewhere, it'd be whoever else was games played, get in the back, Mikey. Now, not so much, but yeah, right away it was a little bit. He'd always like to say, "Oh, I got this, this, and this," and I had nothing to give back. Now I got him on games played, but I don't need to keep saying it. So
and points, for the record.
Oh, okay.
He's got more goals, but you've got more points.
Okay, well, there we go. Now I got some ammo if we need it.
So I've got one that he's got on you, and I want to see if it fires you up. Roseville, Minnesota, Wikipedia page, listed under famous people is Joey Anderson, not Mikey Anderson.
Oof. I mean, you can fix that, though.
We could go in there.
That's messed up.
There was clearly some guy who went in and added himself at the bottom because he was red with no link, and it was broadcaster at some local news station.
That's hilarious.
And I thought I was offended that you weren't on there, but Joey was the first name listed. And
messed up.
Maybe we could do
I mean, it's fixable. It's Wikipedia. It's not NHL.com.
We got to get someone to get that taken care of.
That's Sean's job. It's what do you?
See him do something useful.
I know. Standing over there.
I want to talk about your partnership with Drew Doughty. I went back and I looked at it, and I was sort of surprised. I thought it had been more minutes over the years. Your first season, it was 6 minutes, 49 seconds, but you were a rookie. The next year was 925 minutes. Your next most common teammate was Matt Roy at 143 minutes. The year after that, it was 659. But you played 269 minutes, 53 seconds with Bjornfoot. That was the previous year that Drew missed a lot of time. After that, it explodes. 1,516 minutes with Drew. The next season, 1,332. This year, though, 0, obviously. Mm-hmm. And you've played 385 minutes with Vladislav Gavrikov, which honestly, Zach, I thought it was more one game with, one game without. But looking at the numbers, I mean, you've basically...
Pretty steady, right?
Yeah. How different is it playing? We'll get into the difference between Gavrikov and Doughty in a second, but how different is it playing with when you were with Bjornfoot, you were on the right, he was on the left. Now you're on the left, Gavrikov's on the right, but you're both left-handed shots. How does that change your approach to the game?
I think it's, pretty similar, obviously. There'll be times throughout a shift where if I end up on the right, you just kind of let it be. There's not much urgency really needed to go back and forth. Obviously, I played right for both my years in college, so I'm used to being over there. But having not done it for a little bit, it takes a little time to get used to. But I feel like playing with Toby versus Gavi, it's different just because when I was with Toby, we were still both trying to kind of figure out the NHL and how things were working, so we kind of got thrown into the fire together. Whereas now I feel much more confident and comfortable in my own game. Not that I wasn't then, but a little different this time around. When you've been in the league for a couple more years, it's play a little more free and not as tense, worried about what might happen.
And what's the difference between Drew Doughty and Vladislav Gavrikov? Obviously, Drew Doughty's loud. You guys have,
Gavi's pretty loud too.
But so tell us about it. I mean,
Yeah.
how you and Drew speak the same language.
Yep.
Obviously, Vladdy's English is fine,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing there are hitches.
I think some of the tendencies. Obviously, Drew is such a special player where even I laugh because Gavi, I think, played with him last year for a couple games when I was hurt, and Gavi laughs. He goes like, "How do you know where he's going to be?" I'm like, "Well, I've been playing with him for long enough that you can figure it out." But there's some plays where he's no look behind the back, and right away, I think the same thing happened to me. First time I played with him, he did it, and I was nowhere near it. And he's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I
wasn't expecting you to
didn't
do
think
that.
you were going to do that." And he goes, "Oh, I'll do that all the time." And then it's like, then you learn some of that, whereas, Gavi maybe is a little, I don't want to say simpler, but doesn't make some of those plays as much. But as time's gone on, I think we've figured out, at least now, more of like what we like to do on breakouts. Like if he's going here, where I should go. Obviously not as loud as Drew, but in between, shifts and whistles, whatever's going on, he's nonstop talking about a play we made, what we could have done. And they're both similar. They both keep it super light. We like to have fun out there, so good little jokes here and there. Try and stay loose, which is nice.
That first game you guys played together, you and Gavi, was Montreal. And then after the game, I was like, "Oh, this is cool. Gavi played on the right. We've never seen that before." And then he was like, "Oh, I've actually done that my entire life coming up." Did you know that he was so comfortable on the right, or was that oh crap for you too?
I had no idea. But I think everyone can kind of do it. It's the angles maybe and the way you pick a puck up off the wall, how your little position all can kind of come into play then. But everyone's skilled enough where you're able to do it. But it's just the comfortability of, I think, if you've done it for a while, you know how it feels, and the game looks a little different when you're defending on one side versus the other, like on a rush or carrying a puck up on your backhand versus your forehand.
When the pair was put together, was it a conversation? Did DJ Smith come to you guys and say, "You've both played on the right, you both can, who wants it?" Or was it just, "Listen, you guys are being a pair, Gavi's on the right, Mikey's on the left"?
I said when we came in, it just had Gavi on the right, and then like you said, then he's like, "Yeah, I'm comfortable doing it," so it's kind of just stuck with it. But again, throughout shifts, things may change where we line up or what we like to do. But no, he's been pretty good on the right side. Looks like a natural.
He does.
Yeah.
It's working. Since the 2020-2021 season up to date, you played over 3,000 minutes with Drew Doughty. Do you think you know what he's going to do better than he does maybe at this point?
Maybe sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I feel like he doesn't. I remember asking him when I was younger, too, as he made a play, and I go, "Why did you make that play versus a different play?" And he didn't even have a reason for it. But in his head, he just sees it so different from everyone else. But he's like, "Yeah, I don't know, I just did it because that's what I did." And he couldn't give you the good explanation why. But yeah, so you learn some of it like that. Yeah,
when you have players like that who have that kind of vision, we'll use for lack of a better word, let's use Brandt Clark. How long does it take for an entire roster or an entire organization to sort of get used to oh, this guy might do something that he might not have a reason for, but it's going to work out?
I think everyone kind of knows it. Obviously, Clarkie coming in, we know what kind of player he is, and throughout junior, he's done some crazy stuff and had some pretty big offensive nights. So from a guy like Kim or Drew on the back end, you're kind of just aware that they're going to probably do something at some point that's eyes go wide, holy, how they didn't see it coming, but they find a way to make it work. But it's special players. It's fun to have on your team, and it's fun to watch.
Is there any situation in a game where you would attempt the Michigan?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Do you think you could cup it? Like,
I've tried in practice a couple times and I haven't gotten close. So no, I don't think I could. Unless I get the extra wax and make sure pucks are dry.
like the sticky tape. Or...
Yeah, that's my only chance, I think. But
do you ever see The Replacements?
It's been a while.
Where he puts the tack on his hands and he catches the ball in the end zone, the guy who can't catch it, and then they trying to pull it off and the ball won't come. That's probably what we need here. It might not.
That's what I would need. Yeah,
you can
100%.
cup it, but then you'd just be like,
if you have to hold my stick.
Yeah.
Would that count?
Great question.
I mean, the puck would cross the plane.
If
I think it has to count. No.
What if you tomahawked your stick and would that count as a goal? It should.
There's got to be some rule. I know you can't throw a stick to
Yeah.
break up a breakaway.
Yeah.
So maybe there's, I don't know. Look into it.
That's a rule. Jim
Yeah.
Fox.
Yeah.
We'll get the rules later
Yeah.
on for sure. I've got a couple deep dive ones, so if you want to hop in real quick.
I think this is a good time to pivot.
All right.
A couple years ago, when you signed your contract, you said it's starting to feel like LA is home for you. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like now LA is home for you, or do you still kind of say I don't know, Minnesota's home and this is where I live?
I feel like they're both this is turning more into home, kind of than I ever thought it would. They're both home in different aspects, but it's coming back this year. We had bought a house last year, so you come back and you're in your own place. You have your own furniture. You're comfortable being around. You're not figuring out a new rental house. So this year, I think it's felt more and more like home. Kind of getting to build. I don't want to say a life away from rink, but it's having a home base in LA makes it a lot more comforting and comfortable. Day in and day out.
Does having your folks come visit you ever make it feel more like home? When they come and and you you introduce them to your home, this is you welcome them in and that's your home.
Yeah, them, we'll have family, friends, everyone kind of comes and goes throughout the year. It turns into, we joke and say it's almost like a hotel sometimes, but it's fun to have that happen when they can come and get to show them around the town a little bit. And everyone likes to come to LA in winter because get a little break from Minnesota. But no, it's good. When they come, they bring a different aspect of home out here, and it again makes you feel like home.
Is it Minnesotan or Minnesotian, or neither?
I say Minnesotan.
Minnesotan.
That's what I say.
So as a proud Minnesotan, have you adopted any LA teams as your teams, or are you still Minnesota where there's Minnesota?
I'm Vikings fan. Timberwolves were I'm not a big basketball guy, but I'll cheer I cheer for them. But again, with all the other sports around here, it's hard not to cheer for the Dodgers, Rams, or Lakers. Just being around it, it's fun to be. So I'd probably give them all maybe second team by association, but I gotta stay faithful to the Minnesota teams.
You guys went to that Galaxy game over the summer. It looked like most of the guys were there. I assume you were there for that one? How cool was that? It looked like you guys had
awesome.
An amazing time. You guys were all in the celly for that goal that was scored because you were down by the field. It looked like everyone was loving that.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was first soccer I've ever been to. So I've never played soccer growing up, never been around it. So it was fun to see a completely different atmosphere. The way the fans are and everything, and then it was fun. Everyone showed up, which is good. They said, "Hey, we have this. If you guys want to come," and I think everyone was a thumbs up right away. So it was a fun little night getting to have all the team there. And again, we had so many new guys, so it's fun to spend a night with all of them and get to know everyone a little bit better before we're leaving in camp and whatever. But it was good.
This is a totally dumb question, but I'm just now realizing that growing up in New York or Minnesota or California, Southern California is probably totally different. When I was a kid, everybody played soccer. Nobody kept playing soccer, but that was the first thing you did was AYSO. Did that not reach the colder parts of the country?
I kept playing soccer personally.
All right.
Yeah, I played rec soccer. Yeah.
I don't think I ever played. My sister played for a little bit, and it's actually funny. She was the goalie for one of the games. And then I think she came running out. My dad tells the story better, but she started crying because they thought they were trying to kick the ball at her. And then she never went back and played soccer again.
My sister also played goalie, but she would practice her dance routine in net. And then they were like, all right, this is probably last year. Yeah. She's going to play soccer.
Yeah. Maybe it was my parents. Maybe my parents were the ones that were kind of we're just going to try and push hockey or not.
Well, like I said, I never
keep
thought
away
about it, but
from,
you got
from
11
soccer.
people on a team, and you can play here. You can play 12 months out of the year. So
we had
grab
we had
30 kids.
indoor
and-
facility,
Oh,
so it was like 5-on-5 indoor for the winter because you're not playing in New York.
The LA
in
Lasers
December.
is the closest I ever got to indoor soccer. That's the indoor soccer team from back in the day for all of you. I want to talk about the driver's helmet. Because as a fan of the team, there was always, not a big part, but there's always a tiny part of me that would see, and I wrote down a list. The New York Rangers had the Broadway hat. The Blackhawks had a championship belt. The Capitals had an Abe Lincoln hat and beard. Calgary and Anaheim both tinkered with firemen's helmets over the years. Montreal has a boxing robe. Detroit had Detroit had a shovel. Winnipeg had a fighter pilot helmet. Buffalo had a fur coat and a pigeon at one point.
A live pigeon.
I think it was a prop, but I saw a video clip of a guy, and there's just like a pigeon sitting on his shoulder.
Imagine that thing's
Hilarious.
And Dallas had a cowboy hat, and like I said, there was always a tiny part of me that was like, well, that's fun. Like we don't have that, and now we have it. So who introduced that? Where did it come from? And when? And when did it make the leap from tiny little mini hat that awkwardly sat on people's heads?
We had Jimmy was, I think, had the idea of trying to get something. Again, we've never done it since I've been here, but he was talking to me and Juice about it, and we have a fair amount of guys that like Formula One. I think some of the guys even do like a fantasy league, or I don't even know how it works for that. But so we were sitting there like, well, it'd be fun to have something different. So we started looking for helmets, and we couldn't find anything like of actual value and big size scale or whatever. So Juice like, this is the best one we can get. So we got I'm like, okay, so we got it, and then sure enough, we were lucky that Kopi knows Zach Brown with McLaren, and he was able to get us a Lando helmet, which is now much better that guys can actually put it on. Looks a little bit better than just a little prop one. But no, it's a fun little thing to have. You get someone that's driving the team that day, and obviously goes well with the helmet.
I picture Kopi coming in as like the dad here, like looking at the little guys, like, all right, guys, like, you got us here.
I'll take care of it.
Let me bring this home.
Yeah.
Who's the custodian of the helmet in between games?
question.
Like, does the winner of the helmet have to take care of it and bring it back?
Winner keeps it, but I think Shorney, Chris Shornack's the one that moves it back and forth, or him or the equipment guys. But I think they might just keep it in whoever's bag, who gets it the game before.
So the thing's got to smell kind of right by now.
I hope not, but it might.
Get some.
I mean, hockey bags are.
That's what we started. That was
like,
our joke. Was everyone puts it on after the game? We're going to need to find something to clean it because it's going to get greasy by the end of the year.
So, in reading about all the different teams, apparently the Abraham Lincoln beard started to get pretty difficult to deal with. Yeah. All right. So this is the real deep one. That this is just me confessing. For the last 5 years, I defaulted to conversations about the 1-3-1. And I just lazily laid on it and said, oh, of course the Kings are good defensively. They do the 1-3-1, and it prevents zone entries, so that cuts down on chances and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't think about it much beyond that, even though I knew, we would talk about it all the time. When Vancouver media would pounce on it, we'd go, come on, how many times do you actually see the 1-3-1 in a game? This season, you're first in expected goals for percentage, fourth in Corsi for percentage, fourth last year, fourth in goals against, fifth last year, third in total expected goals for against, fifth last year, 10th in goals for per 60, fourth in goals against per 60. You've 10 new players, different goaltenders, different neutral zone systems, different coaching staff, all of that. What is the secret to the Kings, like without, revealing any secrets to the enemy? Like what makes the team, what is the secret ingredient in the Kings' defensive success?
I think for the most part, we just got a bunch of guys that are willing to do it. Obviously, we'll have some of the games doesn't work out so well, but
I'm going to have to dumb it down. What is it? You said you've got a bunch of guys who are willing to do it.
Take pride in playing defense, making it hard to play against, whether that's blocking a shot, even just little ones of like chipping a puck out of the zone versus making maybe a little play that could come back the other way. Our forwards, like, they all can just fly. So it's like them putting pucks in forechecking, which, again, will limit rushes coming back against us. But I think, like, ever since I've been here, everyone's been known to be a tight checking game, or no one likes to play LA because it's, you're going to have to work hard to get chances. So I think when we get everyone kind of bought into, if they're going to get a chance, they got to start below their goal line, come 200 feet all the way down, and then somehow find a way to score. It's tough. Like, it's not fun. But I think our team so far has been very willing to kind of do that for the most part, and you get good results from doing it that way.
So it wasn't just the 1-3-1.
It was not the 1-3-1, so we can toss that narrative out the window.
All right. I apologize for the role I played in creating it.
We'll have to get Sportsnet on the line and see if maybe send them this clip.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll believe it.
That's it for me.
I just wanted to know how far you're along on Breaking Bad. You finished Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
You did?
Okay. I finished that too quick.
Yeah?
It helped having the long road trip to start. That show was, it was awesome.
Unbelievable.
Is the second to last episode of that show not the best hour of television ever produced?
Yes.
I would agree.
Episode's titled Ozymandias for anybody who wants to go out there and watch it.
I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody, it's like it's not like high pace, but it's like you're just locked in.
Yep.
But it was that first road trip I was telling him when we were like, I watched it starting on the plane ride to Quebec, and I think I finished it like within a month. So I watched a little too much TV probably, but we were on the road, so I'm going to defend myself with that.
If you want an antidote to that kind of TV show, we talked about this with Alex LaFerriere. Suits is very light watching.
That was us last year.
Okay, all right.
Perfect.
Have you gotten into Better Call Saul?
No, I need to take a break.
A little break,
and then I'm going to try. I think I'm
we
going to
got, got an 18-day road trip coming up.
Might start it now.
I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Suits LA coming out soon. So
yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Mikey Anderson. Mikey Anderson. Thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you guys.